Hello everyone. Hello. Hi, I'm Charlie, and I have a blinding light in my face. So I'm going to, oh, this is better. Good, good, okay. Wow, so nice to be here. I was here last year and the year before, and it's good to see everyone. It's really nice. And just to feel what we're here for. It's really nice. Like coming together for something that means something. So last week I was, oh wow, it's going to do this, isn't it? Right. Here. Okay, good. So last week I did something I hadn't done before, which was married some people. I married some people to each other. And I'd never done it before. It was two friends of mine. They asked me if I'd marry them. They said they're not going to have a priest, so could I come and do it? And it was in a forest in Holland. And there were dragonflies. And it was as idyllic and perfect as you could imagine. And there's just this chance to stand up in front of a group of people and say, we're here because we believe in love. And to do it at the most socially acceptable occasion there is. You know, it's not like it's not Burning Man. It's a wedding. But you actually get to say to these people, you're going to promise to each other that you love each other and that you're going to base your life from now on in love. You leave behind an old way of living, you move into this new way of living, right? For the ceremony, I basically mixed up stuff that I was making up with things I stole from the Church of England. So, you know. And one of the really good bits from the Church of England was it said, these people are entering into a new way of life. I thought, how awesome is that, right? That you kind of think, oh, it's a wedding, it's about relationships, these two people, or it's a party or whatever. But it's actually this like totally revolutionary thing where you're going, there are ways of life. You know, there's not just like there's ways of life and they have different rules and you can step in and out of them. And it's saying these two people are going to stand in front of us and they're going to say, we're going to not do the whole, I don't like you, so I'm going to leave. But they're going to say, we're just going to work it out. You know, we're going to base everything in love. And I was just totally amazed by this idea that there are ways of life, you can just choose them. And so when I was 4 years old, I remember sitting on the carpet in my parents' living room and my three older brothers coming to me and explaining school, right? And basically went, okay, so Charlie, you're going to have to start going to school and you have to go 5 days a week, but you get 2 days off. And me, 4 years old, I remember thinking, absolutely clearly, I remember it going, no way. Like, I have 7 days off now? And I know that 7 is more than 2. And I was just not in for it at all. And they're like, well, you have to. And I was like, this is not okay. And so I went. And they said, okay, you can play in some sand. I said, okay, well, that's okay. And they said, okay, you have to stop playing in the sand. You have to start studying for your 12 plus exam. Okay, and then you have to get into the grammar school. Okay, and then you have to prepare for your GCSEs and you have to get A's. Okay, so I did that. And, you know, okay, but now you have to prepare for your A levels, you know, so you can get into a good university. Okay, so I did that. And then I went to Oxford. Oh, yeah, very nice. And I got a degree and I got a first, and you know, I've done everything, you know, ticked a box every step of the way. And then went home after my degree, and my dad said, well, you know, you're going to have to get a job to pay your rent. And so I opened up my laptop and Googled job. And you know, I found a sort of recruitment website, I don't know, writer. I've been writing, did my degree, and ended up doing kind of data entry, proofreading website thing in London after 19 years of the most privileged education in the Western world. And just not knowing why, and not really feeling like it was worth it. And so I'd do 5 days of work, but then I'd get 2 days off. So that was okay. And I was a grown-up, so I could get drunk every night and occasionally go on city breaks. So... And then after a couple of years of this, of like correcting spelling mistakes, I think, accidentally made the features editor of a global fashion magazine, despite never having done anything in journalism before. And I met the most creative people in the world. Right? I met these, I remember there's a music video director called Floria Sigismondi, and she explained to me how she was directing the video for Christina Aguilera's Fighter, and she was having to work out how you get a giant moth and tether it with string so you can get two of them to look like they're fighting. And I talked to people, I sent journalists to Iraq, to post-war Iraq, for a kind of style magazine, and it didn't really work out. And I raided Esso petrol stations with Greenpeace. I went to Russia and ended up working with the Svengali behind Tattoo, the pretend lesbian schoolgirl band. I went to Denmark and worked with this school, the Chaos Pilots, who had a new approach to basically being activists and entrepreneurs and artists all at the same time. And I was just immersed in creative people. But I was still getting up on a Monday morning and getting on the tube and working 5 days and getting drunk every night and still basically just playing out this thing that had started on the carpet when I was 4, being told, well, you just have to do it, so, make the best of it. And I couldn't do it. It was really hard. Because you don't learn how to look after yourself, You don't learn what to do if you don't know what to do. And you learn how to find the right answer or something, but there aren't any right answers if you've got to fill 40 pages of a magazine with good stories or something. And I just didn't have the emotional or intellectual or spiritual literacy to understand what was going on inside or how to ask for help or anything. And so I'd just go to work earlier and earlier until it'd be 7 o'clock in the morning or something, just to get there, because I didn't know what else to do, And the way of life I've been trained in was if it's not working, just work harder, stay longer, and stay at your desk, And so I'd stay until the last tube, or I'd get a taxi home at midnight, just because I didn't know what else to do. And I burned and burned and burned out until I'm in my dream job, right? I've done everything. I've ticked every box along the way. I found this dream job. And I'm sitting at my desk just looking at this screen going, I can't leave my dream job. And then the magazine closed, which I don't think is entirely my fault, but probably more to do with the internet or something like that. And in the same week, I split up with my girlfriend. I lost the job, and we had a mortgage and a house, so we lost that as well. And then someone stole my bag with all my contacts and my ideas for feature stories and things like that. So I had nothing at all. And nothing to lose, really. But no love for this whole going to an office thing, no faith in this, if you just do the right thing for long enough, everything will work out and then you can get a pension and die or something like that. It was like, this isn't working. But I'd met all these amazing creative people and they gave me clues, right? And I brought this with me. This is from 2004. I wrote a manifesto of stuff I'd learned from writing about these creative people. And so I'd abandoned this like industrial way of life, right? This industrial thing of like, it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter what's going on inside, it doesn't matter what you love or what you desire or what you dream of, just find a job title and show up on time, you know, and hope that the sort of machine takes care of you somehow. And I didn't know an alternative, but I had clues, right? And there was things like, do what you want, refuse to be unhappy, don't fuck anyone over. That's point number 15. And number 20, you can get the money, don't be afraid. Use your mentors, follow your instincts, give away everything. You can do anything. And expose yourself to everything, everywhere, now. Think of everything in terms of resources. If you do it out of love, you'll work harder than anyone. Work very hard. Do apprenticeships to see that they're not special and it's not difficult. Make people fall in love with what they're most scared of. And then point 22 was from when I was working with the Russian music Svengalis, and it just says, tea, meetings, weed, hedonism. So I didn't have a community, didn't have like a church of people like this who, you know, are thinking about the same things and trying to find their way or anything like that. I just knew that I couldn't work in an office anymore. And I didn't really know how the alternative worked. And so I tried a whole bunch of things. And I've been like a stand-up comic, and I've done gardening in France, and I've been a songwriter, and I've done, I don't know, social marketing and teaching and all kinds of things. But even though my CV looks like a, I don't know, ADHD spider or something like that, all the way through it, there's this, like, this total resolute need to work out like a different way. Like a way of living, a way of working that started from being alive, that started from like things like how can I be healthy and well and happy, and how can I take responsibility for the things that matter to me and stand for something? How do I love the people that I should love? How do I talk to people? How do I ask for help? How do I, you know, all the things that we've already had the lists, you know. How can you be vulnerable? How can you show up? How can you say yes? All those things. And I found a lot of good teachers along the way. Like I learned improvisation, so how to stand here not knowing what I'm going to say next and be okay with it. You know, there's this beautiful thing in improvisation where you go, the perfect starting point. Right, so whatever's happening, you're like, oh, I'm terrified. The perfect starting point. Or, oh, I just lost my job and my partner and my house. The perfect starting point. And I lived in a meditation center for like 9 months and learned about listening, you know, and learned about that happiness doesn't come from the outside and you can't find it in things because it's not a thing, it's just in your mind and it's something that you do. Like being loving is something that you do, it's not something that you find out there. But I didn't have a story, right? There's either like work, and everyone knows what work is, you have to go to work, you've got to pay the rent, right? Or there's like kind of just doing things and finding teachers, but there wasn't like how is this different? What is it? And I found a story. So like we can collect all the tips, the like 5-point list and the 10-point list, and find a purpose and use perspective and da. But it's not enough, because if you try and apply that in an industrial mode, an industrial way of life, it goes wrong. Because if you're working in an industrial setup, you should repress your needs and do what you're told and show up on time. And that works, it's kind of handy if you want to build a wall or something like that. And if you start trying to, I want to find my bliss in building this wall or something, it probably won't work. Might work. But you actually have to step out, like someone getting married, you have to step out of one way of life and say, I'm not going to have sex with other people, I'm not going to just go off and, get bored of you and do something else, I'm going to stay here and actually, get angry but stay, get sad but stay, those things. You have to step out of one way of life into another way of life. And I think it's that. I think it's that we have to look at work and go, is work about being a hand, and like moving this from here to here? Is it about being a job description? Does this story of being a robot actually work? This idea of, work is a machine and you just have to, like, whatever's going on inside, just hide it and just do the fucking work, okay? You've got to be professional. But there's this other story of work, right, which is that we are alive, right? And we're human beings with these incredible minds that are like antenna processing everything in the world all the time with like infinite complexity. And we can listen to it and it changes us. And when we listen, we get energy, we get inspired, we get energy, like, I need to do something, because we feel that there's like a need. And every one of us is like an antenna, and our feelings, our emotions that we might repress at work normally, they're all signals and they're all fuel saying, go do this thing, like when you're hungry and you go, I need a sandwich, and you go make a sandwich, you do it because you're hungry, and you eat while you're hungry, and you stop when you're full. Like, this is what work really is. It's a miracle. We're these miraculous beings who can look at the world and then see something like, I'm going to build a barn, or I'm going to start a global movement of happy startups. And then it happens. And the reason it happens is because we listen inside. And trying to do the right thing doesn't help. And doing what you're told doesn't help. But you have to find your own authority by not listening outside, but listening inside. Find what you're the author of and bring it into the world. And it starts with listening. And the shortest, smallest trick I know for listening is just asking questions, right? And we don't. Like, I need to do this, so I go and do it. But like, even if you just stop when you're thinking of doing something and check, does it make sense? And then, you let your mind do its thing. And then you go, and does it feel right? And then you let your body do its thing, right? And then you've got your whole conscious mind and unconscious mind on board. And if it doesn't make sense and doesn't feel right, don't do it. And if it does, it's a lot easier to do it. Because doing things that don't make sense and don't feel right, you're like pushing. And so this is how we can work in a creative way. It's a totally different mode. You can't push down the emotions. You can't live elsewhere. You can't run on autopilot. You can't say, it's not okay to be rude. It's not okay to be arrogant. It's not okay to be loud. Like, it depends, Sometimes it's good to be rude. Sometimes it's good to be loud. Sometimes it's good to be arrogant. Sometimes it's good to be weak. Sometimes it's good to be vulnerable. But if we show up in every moment, go, I can't do that because you haven't actually listened, you haven't checked where you are and whether it's appropriate or not. So whether you're feeling like you're in a situation where you have to be rude or you have to be arrogant or whatever it is, or you're really scared, you can stay there, check what makes sense, what feels right, and then stand there and go, the perfect starting point.